Welcome back to the OPL. Thank you, Rogie and Rusty, by which I mean I messed up there. My bad. I threw to a break, but instead threw to the casters. I apologize. It won't happen again. Maybe it will. I'm very new. All right, let's get into game 2. I'm joined here at the desk by Froskerin and Raz. And in that first game, we saw a role swap for Hellion.
I'm going to give this one to Raz since you felt so strongly about Bomb.
Oh my God! Initially, I was talking about how I loved Bomb, right? As he much later on, but of course.
And then he solo 1v1 tries to fight the Gnar and dies.
Yeah, it didn't work out for him. But not even that. This is what makes it worse: is that we saw Frey come into the mid lane, and there were so many a lot of small points that it was just amazing. Sure, he had a roaming champion, but every single time he pushed, he always worked with Imperator. There were times where he worked with Imperator to look for a possible dive top. He was constantly moving around the map, constantly hiding to instill fear in side lanes. He played incredibly well, and in fact, when they were going for a Dragon 2, he was playing the role of just kind of protection / flank, kind of pushing them away. That was great.
I'm going to translate your passion into some clear English
words.
Actual words.
Words.
It's this idea that Bomb, although individually 1v1 mechanically very strong, probably stronger than Frey on a lot of those champions, isn't a presence on the map. He doesn't have any sort of non-existent. He doesn't leave. He wins his lane. He continues to win his lane. Frey didn't win his lane. In fact, he fell drastically behind in CS. But as Raz was saying,
he was all over the map.
Yeah, his presence was felt in that dragon fight. Zoning off, creating that. So simply that minor adjustment did stall out and diffuse a lot of the Direwolves plays that they were trying to set up.
Yeah, and so of course, there were a lot of instances where Direwolves were pretty much they were just cut out when they were trying to go for their dives top lane, trying to make moves bot lane. Every single time, Frey was there to pretty much get a kill off of it, get a trade. I don't think they would have been able to do that if Bomb was in to be quite honest, if Bomb was mid.
He saved Ryu's life quite a few times, and it's not necessarily just saying his life. I have to look at the camera because I'm the audience. It's saving his life by going top lane, but simply you'll notice if you go back and watch the VOD, anytime Chippies is pressing forward, you actually see Frey immediately shove his lane, and then he walks into Fog of War. And Chippies cannot dive at that point, or he can't poke underneath tower, because he has to assume that the mid laner is coming. And it's small things like that.
Can I ask, when you're playing against a team who does a role swap like that, what are the Direwolves thinking right now? Are they able to prepare for this kind of thing?
I mean, frankly, I don't think it matters because, again, the thing is Fantix is one of the best mid laners in the OPL, formerly known as Perfection. He's incredible. He can play pretty much every single champion. Chippies can play that carry, can play that bruiser, can play the tank. So Direwolves are unique in this idea that it really doesn't matter because pound for pound, they're more talented, more versatile.
I mean, yeah, sure, they can probably get the win at the end of the day, but that was difficult. And at the same time, if you're going into champion selection, you're that guy just locked in mid. I did not prepare for this. Preparation means a lot. And so if you come into a situation where you're actually, that's not the champion pool I was expecting, then that does make a bit of difference.
All right, so we think we're going to stay with our initial predictions. 2-0 to Direwolves.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, now I'll attempt to throw to the actual casters. Rogie and Rusty, take it away.
Thank you so much. Rogie and Rusty here. Now, not a loading screen, but happy to be here. And unfortunately for our underdogs, the Direwolves, it is looking very grim. There is no light at the end of the tunnel for them.
And by Direwolves, he definitely means Hellions.
I definitely mean Hellions. It's not just Hingers having a fumble tonight.
No, but you're right. Hellions are having a rough game, but they showed a lot of positive signs. They already spoke towards the mid laner, looking good in Frey. I almost said Bomb this time around. Bomb, the underperformer, unfortunately, in that respect. But really big props, again, the way Frey played it, the way he was able to push the lane, disappear. He understands the mid lane mechanics and fundamentals, and he's roaming, rotating, and pivoting with his team.
It seems like something, once given enough time and practice, could really come into its own fruition and maybe lead Hellions into a whole new dawn. But that was game number 1. We are in game number 2, so potential new things are to happen. Hellions ban away that Jhin though, and the LeBlanc, so maybe not new things, maybe just standard.
I mean, one big new thing we will see is Direwolves being on the red side of the rift, so they should ban away the Vladimir, dependent on how much they actually respect their opponents.
Sure.
But that is an expectation. Hellions also usually commanding a Rise ban, so as it stands, the draft is actually in their favor, dependent on what they want to first pick.
Like you said, Direwolves, they did do 3 target bans, so it seems like they do have the respect of their opponents in mind, the LeBlanc and the Rise, followed by the Azir onto Hellion, so they don't want Fantix getting that one in his head. But Hellion's actually on the blue side taking away that Vladimir. Interesting.
I guess they can't play it. There's nothing more you can really say to that. If they're pushed into a position where they need to first pick Vlad, they don't want to first pick Vlad, then you ban it. It's a bit awkward to do on the blue side of the Rift, though. Shows they are a little bit limited in what they're capable of.
Unfortunate for Hellions, though. Still don't want to go up against it, Nidalee being the final ban here, so Impaired not going to be able to get his hands on one of his most proficient champions. Let's see what Hellions do tend to lock in first here. We know Siva and Karma such a high priority.
Yeah.
But we heard on the desk that a lot of people are finding that these major supports aren't really fitting with an overall team chemistry and playstyle. That Alistair and Brom very telegraphed on how they want to approach the game. Knock everyone up and keep them stunned.
It's just harder to win having a Karma on your team because you don't have the crowd control, right? But a good team can still find a way to make it work, to find the victories with it. Soraka's the perfect example of that as well. You have to play super macro heavy. Hellions are not prided in their macro skill, so they should look towards, if they pick support, something much more aggressive like the Alistars and Broms and just ram their head at them and team fight, which is where they excel.
So if they take that on board throughout their draft phase, but they will be picking up that Victor for either Bomb or Frey, who can tell at this stage. But regardless, I'm sure everyone can play Victor. Not the most complex champion. Push the wave, control the lane, and blow people up with your ulti.
Yeah, hit level 7, have 1,000 gold. Laugh maniacally as you watch the enemy mid laner just shake his head saying, I can't do anything. But doesn't mean that the Victor can either.
Yep.
As a first pick, it's something that Frey has historically played.
Sure.
We'll see if he does go back towards that, if they decide to keep him in the mid lane, or if they just want to swap it up.
It's anyone's guess at this stage, and I'm sure Hellions might have, do have a plan for game number 2 here. Let's see what Direwolves is, though. You mentioned Sybil does quite well when he gets that Elise in his hands, and there you go. And Chippy's on the Aurelia, so last game it was banned away. This time Hellions, they focus on the Azir, so when you got to do those target bans, things will slip through the cracks, and it will be the Aurelia.
Yeah, so banning away the Azir, picking the Victor, and having LeBlanc also removed from the Rift means that Fantix has to bring out something different, but you can't really look at this champion pool and say, oh, that's an issue for Fantix. We're going to just play Twisted Fate, Kassadin. You know, just name it. You can probably play it.
That's exactly right, and the Twisted Fate you mentioned kind of coined that one. Being available usually gets target banned away, so maybe Direwolves will just be picking that one up. See what Hellions go for. We've seen Impaired play the Hecarim in the jungle.
They should probably
time and time before.
I would say go for Siva if they're going to commit to a Hecarim this early. They already know that they're against an Aurelia.
It's a great point here. Let's see what they eventually decide to go. The Maokai I haven't seen in quite some time. Kind of the original tanky top laner until Trundle just came in and started beating that tree down. But the Lucian being locked in for Bomb or Frey, who knows?
Yeah, I like this move actually.
Sure.
On the side of the Hellions. The Maokai is not too traditionally seen anymore.
Very easy champion though. He's my go-to for top lane.
It's very simple.
He's my go-to for top lane.
You just teleport in and press your W on the AD carry or the mid laner about 6 times in a team fight. Auto attack for your passive health in between here and there. And
press R and forget.
Yeah, exactly.
Does its job for you, but Direwolves going for a little bit more complexity here with the Brom and the Ashe. We do have that global ultimate. Great initiate and a lot of CC to follow it up, so this Direwolves roster looking very scary already.
Just a lot of Freljord and a lot of slows to be seen out of that bottom lane. The stun can work well with the Elise. Of course, going for that Braum doesn't mean they're all in on a pick composition. There's no Thresh to round it out.
True.
But Braum, just generally speaking, is a little bit more often seen and has the added bonus of having disengage there with it. Rounding out their composition, they'll be waiting for Fantix, who, again, I say pick Twisted Fate, you'd be set.
Yeah. He's got a lot of things in his repertoire. Be interesting to see what he eventually goes with here, but Hellions, they've still got their last two. We know their mid laner, we know their top. It's on their jungler and support. Hovering the Leona at the time. Kind of ironic if Luna picks that one up.
I'm so ready.
The J4. The Dunk Master himself locks it in, Impaired on Jarvan. Luna on Leona. This is an all-in team composition if I've ever seen one tonight, Rusty.
It's circular. That's the only thing messing it up is that damn Lucian. He should have been Siva, and then we would have been set. They've got the Maokai, they've got the Victor.
Yep.
It's already a lot of AoE magic damage. They've got Leona for stuns and the Jarvan to round it out. It's a lot of damage, and it is Wombo.
Look, when Jarvan, whoever Jarvan sets up the arena on is going to die. Unless they have a flash available, there's no escape. Maybe Elise can get a repel off in time, but if that's onto the Ashe, there's no hope of survival then.
Oh yeah, the Ashe gets deleted.
Yeah.
I think there is, again, a lot of benefit to having Braum available. Should be able to help to an extent, and I would imagine has to run Exhaust now with it. So rounding out this team composition, perhaps Twisted Fate's not the best idea if you're worried about dying, but it's also just one of the better champions that Fantix can play. And if you have your flash available, maybe even switch to a Ghost if you need to save summoner spells.
Oh, it actually at the last minute switches it up to the Veigar. Hobbit the Vel'Koz, got the Veigar, and what are you saying about Twisted Fate not going to matter those direwolves? I guess now that Veigar's Sun interrupts them at the kind of parameters of the Venn diagram, they can't actually get in if he throws it down in time.
No. The thing is, yes, but no, because I'm pretty sure Jarvan's ultimate still channels past that point anyway, and he'll follow it through.
Maka, I think, can just jump
has
over,
a twist advance that goes under it. I think the Lucian can't dash out of it.
Leona can probably get through it too with the...
I would assume Leona can also get through it.
Well, we'll have a lot of questions answered tonight regardless with this game, but haven't seen Veigar in quite a while. I remember he had a brief stint on support, which caused them to nerf his stun field.
Well, look, I believe there was a reason that we haven't seen Veigar in
there's
quite
definitely
a while.
a reason, Rusty.
But he has seen some soft changes towards the way of AP growth. I forget the exact way that it works now, but you do get AP a little bit more effectively.
So I actually know this one. So
here
every
we
time
go.
you hit a spell on an enemy champion, it gives you AP as well, not just off your Q farming minions. I do play a little bit of Veigar here and there.
Oh, one of those guys. No, it makes sense, actually. So you can harass with Veigar, which was one of the biggest problems that he originally had. Doesn't mean I like the pick too much.
Well, we'll see if Fantix can change your mind tonight, Rusty. If you want Hellions to take one game, one upset, one victory, hashtag HLN win. Or if you want Direwolves to shut this one out nice and clean, and maybe you just like Bad Santa Veigar, HL win. DW win, sorry.
We're going to have an interesting game here. I think for what it's worth, Hellions, they looked a little bit better in game number 1. Game number 2, they've built themselves a Wombo team, and they've actually picked it into 2 low mobility carries in the Ashe and the Veigar. So there's a real opportunity here for them to find a snowball victory through their team comp.
Look, they've got the recipe for disaster. They can smash anyone they choose, and Direwolves with the Ashe and the Veigar kind of rolling out the red carpet with Jarvan saying, yes, please, I'll take that. See what they can do here. Hellions versus Direwolves, game number 2. Direwolves already up 1-0, and what a convincing win it was. But Hellions, they played quite good League of Legends. Let's see if they can match it and just push it over the line that little bit more that's constantly was drawing them back from taking a win.
Surely they're not both going Storm Raiders Surge.
I don't know about
Like,
Veigar.
surely they both have Thunderlords.
Maybe.
That's outrageous. It's like they had a written agreement or something. They're both going to go for the really inefficient... Either way. Welcome to the game.
Oh, Bomb might be in trouble here. Is forced to take E at level 1. Not optimal. Does avoid death and the stun.
So rule number 1 already disobeyed by Bomb there. You don't stand next to the wall.
No.
Even if he's placing a ward. You actually stand outside of the bush to the left of it near the Raptor camp. Because you can run away if somebody sees you. Or if you see somebody else. Now he has to start E. He will be fine. I just don't know if they can start that camp as efficiently. They might lose the first 3 minions in the wave because of it.
It's definite possibility here. Now we see Frey and Fantix in the mid. The coolest matchup ever, Victor versus Veigar.
Yeah, they can only go for 1.
Yep, smart play. They don't really want to set themselves any further behind than they already have, so going to be just going back to ensure that they get that first wave of minions, where of course Raze and Regret had no trouble taking out the Grom.
Even hard pushing in now on this bottom lane. They want to forcibly get themselves closer to that level 2 point. Also keeps Direwolves a little bit at bay. There's going to be no trades available from them, but once again, we're looking at a pretty non-impactful Direwolves bottom lane against Hellions running a Leona. Braum has been spoken about by Ejim, in fact, saying that it does well into the Leona. Because if she tries to engage on the AD carry, you actually just jump to them, put the door up, and watch as nobody does damage to follow it up.
We'll have to wait and see if they can really utilize Grom to the best of his abilities. Because Leona, she does have that all-in potential, especially taking Ignite as well. So a few of those Sunlight passive procs that Bomb can get off. might be the difference in damage. But of course, if Brom can block that one away, could all be for naught. We see Jarvan doing half the jungle, recalling a champion that does love to go for those level 2 ganks. Not going to be pulling one off right away.
Elise could always look mid lane, but that Wolf Spirit actually spots it.
Early detection in favor of Hellions here is Sybil. Sybil just forced to walk on out of that. They know where he is and how much health he has. Could maybe allow Luna to go for an aggressive play. Try that all-in Leona.
They want to go top lane. Chippies is checking the saplings and placing a ward to feign that there's actually nobody here. They don't time it well enough.
Sybil not going to get in range. Cocoon doesn't land on the back of that one, so good timing by Ray to get that ward down, keep himself safe.
Yeah, and Sybil even jumps to the ward from the looks of it to close distance, but it wasn't enough, as now he reveals himself, and there's the possibility that Impaired gets a 3-buff start.
Fantix making his way down, and Sybil just running straight through the mid lane. Impaired might be in trouble.
Nah, he was warding to not be seen, or to see Impaired as he walks towards this. Sybil's not going to find it as he repels up.
Just in the nick of time, Impaired gets himself out. Rebuffed as well. So now Frey in the mid. These two kind of... You said they had an agreement to take the Storm Raider Surge. They may have had agreement not to even touch each other because both sitting on full health right now and really finding it difficult
That's a
to
win,
get some
though,
damage in.
from the Veigar.
Oh, yeah.
Ideally, you'd want to be poking the Veigar out.
Infinite scaling AP sounds good no matter which way you spin it.
Yeah, well, you give him all this free farm. If a Victor and a Veigar are just going to meet in the middle, one scales harder than the other. That makes a lot of sense. And it actually complements the pick that Direwolves do have. The Ash Arrow with the Brom Q, at least Cocoon. And put down the Event Horizon, is it?
Event Horizon, correct.
And you can follow the stuns up or keep them in a set area where the Cocoon can actually follow it.
We'll see if they can make use of this unorthodox pick in the mid lane. We see Elise. She's going to be recalling now, so maybe not be going for any pressure unless poor Frey overextends. I keep going to say bomb as well, and I catch myself and quickly scan the champion list on the left to ensure I'm getting the right guy here. So Frey didn't even hit him. Hit him, man. Chuck a Q down.
Yeah.
He's a Veigar.
Passive. Extremely passive. It's not too big of a deal, but you know, you run yourself into the concern of scaling as the game progresses. The Elise has been out-jungled a little bit by that of Impaired on the Jarvan. But as the game actually moves forward, he's found himself with boots of mobility.
Oh, yeah.
And now super aggressively looking to get ganks off, to find ways in to gank people in general. He hasn't found it, though.
He was absolutely hooning across the river there. Didn't find anything on Impaired. No Wolf Spirit to spot him out that time either, so maybe just checking for that before going a little bit deeper. Luna and Bomb. Bomb doing a good job of keeping up in CS this time. Remember, he fell quite severely behind to raise Siva after about 10 minutes or so, but haven't seen this Leona be too aggressive just yet. Currently sitting on full health. A lot of potions as well. Ignite in ready. Sybil making his way up top. Just going to get the pink ward.
He's actually being out-farmed to the point where, like, there's not a lot of farm between junglers. But I suspect that you'll find Impaired gets the 6 before Sybil, and that's a big spike for a Jarvan. That's not even a big spike in general for Sybil, but that level differential starts to add up.
Ooh, Event Horizon. Dark Matter comes down. Just Frey calmly walks his way around.
No, he needs to recall,
Yeah.
so Fantix has a big advantage. And is trying to threaten him now, recognizing that fact. It's not often that you'd say the Veigar has a big advantage, but he gets closer and closer to that I can one-hit you point as the game progresses.
Did have that teleport to allow himself to kind of make use of that advantage, like you said, going back. Frey forced to take that cleanse, should he ever find himself on the wrong side of the Event Horizon. Just doing the slow walk back to lane now. Picked himself up a Dark Seal and the upgraded Hex Core. Nearly level 7, so should have quite an easy time controlling the Veigar from here on out.
Speaking of control, Direwolves actually holding the wave here, runs into the risk of having Sybil nearby, so Hellions have to respect. Of course, Sybil not actually getting anything done. This has been a really quiet early game from both of these teams through standard laning.
Definitely.
And they both benefit in very different ways. One team's got a Veigar that scales and an Aurelia that will outscale the damage that top laners do. And speaking of top laners...
Yeah, look at his health. The Maokai forced to recall out of that one. Does have the teleport if he chooses to get back to lane quicker. Chippies will have the TP advantage if it comes to it, though. Now, Impaired level 6, has a Cataclysm available. Could potentially see some ganks out of here. And if I was the jungler, I would know who I'd want to go for, and it's Fantix in the mid lane.
Yeah. They have to start trying to put some pressure down on Summoner's Rift. They are running a wombo combo style of team, and so they want to hit level 6 perhaps before they make the plays. But they've got level 6, they've got teleports onto Rio on this Maokai, they've got Frey who's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Is it the Leona they're waiting on?
I don't know. They don't really need Leona there to take out Fantix. I'm sure a Chaos Storm on top of a Cataclysm should be enough.
Those two can actually kill Fantix by themselves, but that's a story for another day because Sybil's been working with him. Here it is.
Avoids the knock-up, puts down the ulti. Can it land? There's a Cataclysm knocking in 2 members. Chaos Storm comes down, but first blood to Fantix. Sybil just repels out all the damage, and lo and behold, the Veigar actually picking up first blood.
Yeah, one step ahead as now the AD carries are hitting each other.
It's a nice culling onto Rage, just soaking up the entire damage. Forces a flash, but Winter's Bite still hits. Using the ultimate out of Braum to get the knock-up. In sinks the Fangs as Sybil picks that one up.
And it feels like level 6 hits. And the Direwolves are apparently the team that can get it done. Ryu's now working his way mid, looking for Fantix, but won't get him.
He's a fast little guy there. Does have flash available as well. Should he need to get himself to safety?
Yeah, and Maokai doesn't, so that's really unfortunate. Once again, Direwolves get pick after pick in their standard lanes. You'd expect good things from Hellions. All they really have for themselves on the opposite side is CS on their mid laner. But that's nothing.
Good vision control from Direwolves to avoid another first Infernal Drake going over to Hellions like he saw in game 1. Hawkshot comes through. Gets a nice spot onto Leona, but Impaired, unfortunately missing that flag and drag early. Really cost him all that damage he could have laid down onto Fantix, only hitting him with the Cataclysm, but Frey just continuously pushing
Chippies
up the
actually
wave.
has a big collapse here on Frey, who was going for the Raptors. If they just had vision of him doing that, they could have killed him there.
Not going to happen. Fantix is still quite low. Frey just moving up on him, making sure he knows. Nice little blue buff. Impaired making his way in, though, does get spotted out by a ward a little bit too late, even with the timing.
Yeah, too slow this time. Fantix gets his recall in.
There it goes, down the chimney hole, and away he goes. Impaired not going to spot him out this time. Crab's still in control of Direwolves, so Hellions can't sneak out of Dragon right now. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is available for Raze. Might just be waiting on that Glacial Fissure from Regret, but this could be an opportunity for Hellions to maybe make a play here. They got the Solar Flare, they got the Cataclysm.
Yeah. Any composition that has a Leona Jarvan should be killing the Leona Jarvan presence, which right now you would expect they have the opportunity to, but only Bomb wants to go in.
Takes a lot of damage for it, about half his health, so...
Hey, I agree with Bomb's decision.
Yeah, so do I. But I don't agree with Raze right now. Forced to twisted advance back onto Chippy. Sybil does actually get the repel on. Cocoon comes down. This might look grim for the tree with no flash available. Tower Dive is coming in. Do they get the kill? One last attack, but Chippy secures it.
And the Spiderling's able to help tank on the way back out. So now the Direwolves in every single lane have found themselves with a kill one way or another. Sybil's presence in 2 of them. In fact, even 3 of them. He's been involved in everything.
Yeah.
This is a stock standard beginning to this game. There we go.
Oh, here we go. Poor little Fantix. He's going to just get destroyed. Luna picks that one up with the Solar Flare, and that's what the Wombo should look like. But every time the ultimates are off cooldown.
Even
Not
that one
once
was
every 11 minutes.
Even that one was overkill. The Leona didn't need to take it with the ultimate in the end, but they get the kill. Fantix has survived longer than he is deserving of, honestly, at this point. Finally, they get it done.
Frey not able to get too much damage on that mid tower as Sybil making his way over to ensure it is safe. Ray's doing a great job of constantly volleying Bomb's health down, and Luna's got a blue buff now, so that will ensure that the Solar Flare is on a shorter cooldown. Frey gets spotted. Going on through Sybil, if he can land the Cocoon, he could get a lot of damage down, but look how fast he's moving with those boots of mobility. He's really just all over the map right now.
Sybil could have looked towards the Drake, but really wants to gank this bottom lane. Bomb
teleports onto the Spiderling here. The arrow connects. That's going to be a kill for Sybil. One auto attack should do it. Chippies teleported down just for insurance. This does give Maokai a little bit of time in the top lane.
Sybil even laughed at him because he took the kill instead of giving it to Chippies.
Yeah.
Had to respect there might have been summoners up, which there weren't. The Direwolves once again about to find Fantix in the Death Chamber.
Yep, he's in trouble. Flashes out. There is the dunk, but the Chaos Storm trying to find its way around. Very comical to see, but Frey still picks that one up with the Q.
I love that it's blocked by terrain. The Chaos Storm actually feels so unlucky against the Jarvan in any respect.
Yeah.
Your team or enemy team, it doesn't matter because it just blocks it. As once again, Fantix, I think Hellions have worked it out. It did take them a couple of minutes, but they can kill him.
With Veigar, you can't really do much if we just throw everything on.
You know what would be really cool?
Yeah.
Is if we stunned him and he died because he's a fragile champion.
Absolutely no means of escape. Now that the flash is down, hopefully we see the light bulb in the Hellion squad turn on and think, if we keep killing him, we might be able to get this mid tower. But of course, Direwolves get themselves the first dragon of the game. It is going to be that Infernal Drake, despite Hellions getting that mid lane kill.
And for what it's
able to
worth,
transition into anything.
like we joke, but it's definitely still not entirely the Hellions' fault for not ganking Fantix. It was controlled around the map a little bit by Sybil. The 2v2 lane from Direwolves was freezing, keeping the Leona there. And it seems like they wanted to utilize Luna to get the kills. Yeah, they probably could have killed Fantix a lot earlier into this game, but they still are doing it.
And Sybil's done a great job of constantly being in the right place at the right time. You mentioned one kill in each of the solo lanes, who right now he's still on 100% kill participation, actually 1-0-3. So Sybil mentioned in game one just how proficient his Elise play is, and really giving us that argument to back it up.
They're definitely doing work here, Sybil. Quite a good showing in this second game, even a decent one in the first. They are playing with Chippy's Aurelia also. That's the kind of champion that used to be banned away from him a little bit. He's a legacy Aurelia main. Now that it's in the meta, we're still really not seeing people addressing it as too big of a pressing concern. He always does well on it.
They banned it away in game one, but this time they went for the Azir instead, and let's just see just how well Chippies does, because he did such a number on Gnar last game, and comes impaired up in the top. Regret just jumps to his AD carry. Comes in, gets the stun. Regret forced to use a Glacial Fissure. Stun onto Luna. Teleport coming through. Is there enough in time to get Razy? Flashes the Solar Flare at the last minute. Not going to matter. Fantix actually the one teleporting in. Now he may be in trouble. Pops down. The ultimate does a lot of damage. Bomb. His health bar is blinking. Rai making his way to the top. The Spider in Repel gets taken down. And now Hellions just barreling down. Can they keep him safe? Here comes Frey. Flashes over. Gets the Chaos Storm. Gets the double kill.
Hellions find themselves a big team fight. 4 people die from the Direwolves. It's funny to say, but finally this Wombo combo actually works out for them. The 2v2 from Direwolves disrespecting a little bit. Looked like they wanted to still try and trade. Fantix teleports in and pretty much just does not connect with anything.
No.
And that is the way Veigar works, unfortunately. That's not always going to hit. And with Chippies not having teleport, that was generally just a big mistake from the Direwolves in the way of timing, where they get exploited.
He's got that Rift Herald buff as well, and just take it away, Rusty.
So you can see Regret and Raze still kind of want to fight this. Best case scenario, Regret should have ulted earlier. They should have tried to get out safely because they have summoner spells up, but look at how long they held on to those spells for. Gives enough time for Impaired to use his combo twice. Fantix walks in, misses everything. Sybil dies trying to kill Bomb. His damage just was not going to be there to follow it up. Luna's Ignite, I believe, actually found it once. It's Regret and Fantix's turn to meet Frey and the Death Chamber altogether.
A really good laser control is able to pick up Fantix on the way out, then just turn around with a Q onto Regret. So now he's actually in a good position here, but have they allowed the Veigar to scale a little bit too long in that early game where they could have potentially been taking him out? Gold lead about even. Hellions have a slight advantage, which I know it sounds strange, but here they are. They've got that Wombo combo, and they know how to use it. Direwolves not respecting that in the mid game here.
They have found advantages before, Hellions. They've stolen Barons, they've gotten themselves Drakes and win conditions, but they've never really found a way to win the game. Perhaps this team composition is linear enough that it doesn't matter what happens. They can still just win a team fight.
Jarvan has the Sheen, and You know what that says to me? That says a Trinity Force, so could potentially see this Jarvan on impaired. Does get stunned up. Still got not a lot of damage coming out of Fantix here.
No, not a whole host of it. Needs a bit of level spiking on the Veigar, as he's actually going to max the E first, which I should do, I believe, because it increases the stun duration. And that's actually quite important.
Chippies might be in a little bit of trouble here. Impaired and Riot getting all in onto him. Does he have the flash available? He does. Impaired flashes over, chucks down the Cataclysm, and who's waiting? It's Frey.
And they collapse again as Direwolf's on the top side.
Oh, gets hit by the arrow. It's not going to matter, though. He gets taken down. Poor Bomb, nowhere to go this time. Raze is allowed to pick up that one. Sybil not going to take it away.
Yeah, so they attack the teleporting member of the Direwolves this time. They look for Chippies, but they are already responding on the top side of the map. Once again, the problem point is now that they can push mid through the pick that they made and perhaps get something. Is this taking a while for them to secure it?
Impaired have the flag and drag available. Actually, he uses it to go in. Here is Luna. He goes down.
In trouble.
Can Sybil get away this time? No. One big proc. Forces the cleanse, though. Teleport's coming. It is going to be Chippies. He's got his sight set onto Luna. Gravity Field keeps him safe for now. Looks like they turn their attention onto Regret, who just gets blown up.
Yeah, not a good idea there from Regret. Chippy's teleporting in and your Q misses, so no idea why you would choose to follow that fight into a area where you have absolutely no vision. Yet, here we are.
Look at Frey sitting on 5-0-2 right now. Got a 10 stacked Dark Seal as well. Fully upgraded Hex Core.
I'm happy to see Frey back in this middle lane in the OPL. He has been a very good mid lane player. Even throwing back historically to when he was in that position. But I guess the danger of this is having Bomb in the AD carry role. Not an AD carry main. Has been playing mid. We have not seen him compete in the Oceanic Leagues in that role. 0-3.
Really not making a solid argument for himself tonight. Does have that Ghost Blade built. Waiting on the Black Cleaver. Maybe might be able to do something a little bit more when his Lucian gets online. Another Infernal Dragon here tonight. Ray does get stunned up. Can they transition it to anything more? Frey might be in trouble. Regret and Sybil making their way through Frey. He's forced to run away. Sybil smites that one. Exhaust comes down. Gets hit by the arrow. Gets hit up. Gets stunned once again. Sybil should be able to get that one as Raze gets a shutdown gold.
Yeah, so they give him another kill. Finding the solo member doing blue buff. And now they just go immediately to the Baron. This is really aggressive. Quite risky because they don't have a lot of health to their name this early. But it feels like they're going to get this.
Yeah,
pretty much uncontested.
Doesn't look like Hellions really want to do anything about it. They chuck in the far side orb, not going to matter. No smite available because anyone's going to be there. Here comes Luna, he's in, gets a 3-man stun. The knockup comes through. There's the dunk from Jarvan. Not actually killing anyone. Sybil, Raze, Regret, they're so low, but they're turning it around. Chippies comes from behind, gets the double. A kill for Fantix as well, and out of nowhere, Direwolves, they turn it on.
A big power play out of the Direwolves around this Baron buff, but namely killing Frey first. The 5-0 member now 5-1, and in the Death Chamber means they can immediately go towards a big objective. Not only that, knowing that the rest of the Hellions were doing the Drake gives them more time. Aggressive maneuver, but it pays off, as they were even looking for Frey walking back to defend the middle lane.
Can you imagine if Frey was in that fight as well? That 3-man soul over the KEYSTONE on top of it, it would have been incredible. But unfortunately, Direwolves so well timed and get 2 towers out of it. Hellions, I hate to say it, but unfortunately things are falling apart for them already.
We lovingly refer to it as a wombo combo, but the reason it is called that is because there's a combo there that's meant to kill people. If you're missing the 5-0 damage dealing aspect of it, all that's left is stuns.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be enough to actually kill anybody.
Empowered Recall allows them to get out safely. As Hellions now forced to just look for any wards that are now lingering in their jungle.
Comes down to trying to secure as much control as they can on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah.
Past this point, they need big power spikes in items, but they're not there yet. On the flip side, Direwolves are at their big spikes, looking quite dangerous. And again, one of the benefits of a Veigar, whilst it's not seen all that often, this is not a benefit.
See you later, Fantix.
One of the negatives of a Veigar is that you die quite easily. No, the benefit is that you can go Void Stuff as your second item because you have the AP stacking from your passive. So it's a reasonably efficient purchase.
Sometimes things just get timed so perfectly, Rusty. Unfortunately for Fantix, it was 5 members waiting in the bush to kill him.
That was actually timed quite well from Hellions. Once again,
definitely.
Direwolves having the Baron buff means that They now still have control of Summoner's Rift through numbers. And it holds the push. Or the siege that could come out.
Yeah, something we've seen Chippies do time and time again when he gets ahead on this Aurelia versus the Magic dealers. Likes to pick himself up this wit's end. There is a tower to keep him safe as Victor can't brute force his way through the tower just yet.
Yeah, so these three actually showing themselves in the middle lane means they can't break bottom. Hellions could have broken bottom. They're just not opting towards that. Instead, they're defending. Once again, that Baron buff starting to prove too painful.
We've got Raze, Regret, and Sybil up in this top lane. This tower may be not long for this world anymore, but Hellions do send a few members over to defend it, spending some of their time and resources there. Does give a lot of free time for Chippies in this bot lane.
Yeah, and
kind of start chipping away on the tower.
I mean, Ryu can come and deal with him, but you can only for a limited time actually deal with it successfully. Sooner or later, Chippies will out-sustain, run away with it, and even utilize those minions that are empowered by the Baron buff to start taking the turret down. On the opposite side, Direwolves are working their magic.
Yeah, Fantix just forces them to answer the mid lane call, but then the rest of Direwolves get that tower, and in the bot lane, Chippy's just ignoring Ryu right now and going for the tower, and there's not a lot that the Maokai can do about it.
There is nothing that he can actually do about it, because once this turret falls, Chippies could kill him. So he has to respect, and he does pay that respect, but that means 2 turrets have now been broken by this Baron buff. And this is after Fantix has had to respawn and walk back towards his team.
Let's see if the Hellions can find that magical wombo combo we've been harping on about and really make things happen. They've got the potential to. We've seen some kind of signs of greatness, little bits of light shining in time and time again throughout this match alone that show Hellions could potentially come in with the upset if all the stars align, all the combo comes through. Frey's there with the Chaos Storm. It could happen.
It's always possible. The upset... Definitely an upset at this point, but they have the availability. They have a Wombo team composition.
They got a 6-1 Victor as well.
Absolutely can. I mean, yeah, realistically, they can use the Victor. Unfortunately, he's building in the way of resistances a bit now as well. Feels like his damage is actually going to start tapering off to an extent. He had to go Negatron to respect the Vega. Also, no Merc Treads to be seen from most members, including Boots of Mobility for Luna. Fantix hits a stun, and he does go for the Emax second. You're going to die. Just plain and simple, you're going to die. They've got the Ashe to follow it up, the Elise to follow it up, or kick it off. There's no way to live.
That's exactly right. And remember, only 1 cleanse and it's on Frey. It is a member that they want to keep alive the longest, so should be able to survive 1 bout of CC. But like you said, when the stun, there's the Ashe, there's the Cocoon, there's the Braum, there's the Relia, it's all there, and if you're Frey right now, you have a massive target painted on your back.
Yeah, and all it takes is 1 Veigar stun to hit. You blow the cleanse, Direwolves don't even have to engage on you.
Sybil might be in trouble here. Event Horizon goes down, buying him some time. Look at the damage onto Impaired. Flashes the Jarvan ultimate, well timed by Sybil.
Teleport actually coming in here from Chippies.
This could be bad for Hellions. Here comes Chippies. Chaos Storm down onto 2 members. Raze just getting 3 auto attacks off Ray. Has no hope. Not long for this world. Fantix drops the present down. Now Luna in a world of trouble.
2 kills.
I don't know if that gravity field is going to be enough. There is the flash Frey now. Where are you going to go to walk through it? Chucks out the cleanse. Chippies on the backline. 1 more auto attack should do it. Impaired. What are you doing? That's not the way back to your base, but somehow they hold.
They are still alive, but only for a moment. They need to show their respect. Direwolf still with everybody alive, albeit barely. Should be able to push this one in simply because Frey has no health to his name, and that's their wave clear missing.
Yeah, look at Raze, completely untouched in that fight. Perfect positioning by the Ashe once all the movement closing abilities have been used. He just sits there, auto-attacking, gets himself the turret, gets himself the inhibitor. Now this is looking quite reminiscent of first game. Direwolves 10,000 gold in the lead, 7 turrets to 2. Kills quite close, but I don't think it really matters at this stage.
Yeah, and a big flank from Fantix in that last team fight actually sets them up because they pushed towards Fantix and Sybil, pushed them out. They assumed, I guess, of the fight, and then the teleports actually to engage. Created a flank out of what was actually the middle of the initial fight, as there has been so many Fire Drakes.
Third one in the game does go in favor of Direwolves, so they got 2 to their name. It will be a Mountain. Next one spawning, but this game could potentially not last that long, Rusty, with how far Direwolves are in the lead. Vega, he's picked himself up that death cap, stacking his AP to astronomically high amounts.
Yeah, we're online. He's going to one-hit someone.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see who it is. Impaired, he's not looking very magic resistance right now. Only sitting on a null magic mantle.
Yeah, he can
He's got the
actually
boots as well.
kill Impaired. Yeah. Even through the Negatron, he might be able to one-hit him just because the death cap spikes enough. And he already had the Void Staff.
Oh, yeah.
You can 100% kill Bomb. 100% kill Frey. It's interesting to see how this pans out. Again, the Vega hitting a point where he's actually a big threat like this. With Chippy's on Aurelia, that's the exact same thing. Sybil is an AP elite, so he's also a big threat. That's like 4 people now on Direwolves that can kill you.
28 minutes left on the... 28 minutes on the clock is what I'm trying to say here. Direwolves, they've started the second Baron of the game. Last time, it was very cheeky right under the nose of Hellions, but this time, they're kind of goading them in, saying, come and fight us, but it's not going to matter. It gets taken down immediately. The fight comes through. It is onto Impaired. Can they do anything? Luna, you are in the wrong part of town, mate, but as a Leone, you've got no choice. Chippy's just wailing away. Poor Impaired on the back of that one. Chippy's just auto-attacking Frey down. He has no hope on this Victor but to run.
Yeah, and even the teleport cancelled by Ryu there. So the Baron's theirs. They should be able to push with this. They might choose mid lane. I'd expect them to choose top lane with what Raze is setting up for them.
Again,
feels like they want to end.
Yeah, Raze just completely untouched once again in the fight. Teleport coming in for Fantix. He's just going to be able to zone anyone off those towers with the Event Horizon, looking for anyone to try and make in. Rayu, he actually gets the kill onto Regret, but it's not going to matter. There is the present, gets dropped down. He gets blown up despite being the tank. Look at Raze just auto-attacking in through, gets the shutdown. Looking for one more onto Luna. A nice little double kill to round out the game and round out the series as Direwolves double kill Hellions.
Yeah, they get themselves the clean 2-0. At the end of the game, there was a whole lot of ability power on that Vega and team fighting from Direwolves as a whole. They just go for the objectives immediately, secure the objectives, and Hellions can't respond.
Yeah, very wombo combo, heavy comp by the Hellions, but unfortunately didn't work out for them. But we are going to flag and drag it back to the desk to break down game number 2.
Thank you, Rogi and Rusty. That sees the Direwolves round out the series 2-0. Frosco, Raz, what happened there? We saw the early game of the Direwolves. Run me through what's going on.
So first and foremost, I'm going to throw this one to Raz because I know you have some strong feelings on it. But we had a pretty interesting build on Sybil. So Sybil, one of his key champions is his Elise, and he actually rushed Moby Boots. And you have to think that you have a couple different itemization options when you back with, 900 gold. You can either go for the Sightstone, you can go for the double Amp Tome, or you go for the Mobies. And Raz, why don't you take us through all of those options?
All right. So the biggest thing, which is a great thing to talk about, because Hellions actually went for a Jarvan jungle, mid Victor, which turned out to be amazing, and the top lane Maokai. So immediately you're gonna get pushed in on both lanes at some point, right? And so having a Jarvan jungle is going to be a little unfortunate because early on you are going to get abused. Except he didn't get abused. That was the boots mobility. I'm not too I understand his thought process, but if you go double Amp Tome, if you just live in Jarvan's jungle, make his time rough, then that's what's gonna make it a little easier for your team, right? So I didn't like it. I would rather him just kind of at least put some pressure on Jarvan, but Jarvan just leveled up to 6 for free.
And you also think that the emphasis is the catalyst that did all of that was an actual invade and gank on Jarvan, but it was after another back where he finally picked up his jungle items, so he actually had battle stats available to him. So again, it's this idea that Sybil immediately backed, got Moby Boots, and then he ran top lane. He's like, I'm going to gank this Maokai. I was like, okay, this is fine. You know, you're not buying a Sightstone. Obviously, you want to gank your lanes. He's like, nope, distracted by a ward. Got to clear the ward. He totally was free. He could have killed that Maokai.
Sweet OCD though. You see that ward, you got to clear that ward, right?
It was just bizarre. So it did stall out kind of the Direwolves early game, and kind of speaking of stalling out, it moves on to this next point of we had a wombo combo composition.
Let's talk about the Hellions combination, because it took them a while to utilize their wombo, yeah?
Yeah, so the idea is once you turn 6, you want to use that immediate power, and we didn't use it until Victor, I think, was level 12.
Yeah, it got... In fact, there was a hilarious portion of the game where they used it mid. They just walked mid and just trying to all right, well, you're dead. You know, Leona's just going to ulti for the kill. It felt comical at that, because how the comp should work, you level 6, and Direwolves gave them the freedom to get to that point. You run all the way bot, because Victor, at some point, be able to push Veigar in, or at least will have enough pressure to kind of help out in the dive, and it should work out perfectly. They have a lot of dive threat, and and basically wombo combo in that sense. Ashe should be the option, not the Veigar. But anyways, regardless of that, they get to level 12 and they get to that point and they clean up in that top lane fight.
Let's take away some positives for Hellions, though, right? Frey, I saw you tweet during the game, Frosco, that Frey is the one true mid laner. What do you mean by that?
Where has this guy been? And it's funny, too, because like Victor was Bomb's champion that was actually really successful. But Frey really stepped up. Huge props to him. Yes, Hellions went down. But again, it's kind of like to the list of what does it take for Hellions to win. They got double Infernal in early game 1. They still weren't able to close it. They steal Baron. They've got 2 acting mid laners, and it's like still not enough. But Frey, I actually think it's a positive move with this role swap, which is super risky this late into a season. But performed very well on that Victor.
And that's like the last hope. A good Star Wars reference. He's doing incredibly well. He played the Victor and he was able to roam from side to side. I felt like, and on top of that, still playing well with Impaired. That's one thing I want to be able to focus on and have this team kind of look to play with each other, play off of each other's strengths or weaknesses, basic terms of like how you play as a team. And I felt like they actually made that first step. Yeah.
Well, that wraps up the first match for this evening. We'll be back with Sin versus Chiefs right after this.